Hey everybody, welcome to String and Story. My name is Holly Ann Knight, and it's my job to guide you to quote with confidence. Now, you may have noticed something a little funky. I'm actually holding my camera right now, which I don't normally do for these live videos, but that's because, if I pivot, you'll be able to see, I'm going to drop you guys into this tripod when we start our demo. So before we start our demo, let's look at the question of the week. This week, the question of the week is, what quirks does your sewing machine have? Now, here's an example. My sewing machine does free motion quilting better with the feed dogs up. I also have a friend who her Janome sewing machine will only take Singer sewing machine needles. Go figure. So I would love to know in the comments down below what quirk your sewing machine has. Make sure you leave a comment before next Tuesday night, the 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern, to be entered to win this week's prize, which is a little bundle of scraps. This is Joy fabric from Tamara Kate for Michael Miller Fabrics. It's a really lovely line, and I'm excited to share a little scrap bundle with you guys. So make sure that you leave your comments and answer that question down below so that you might win. All right, I'm going to see if I can flip. Hey, Vicki. I'm going to see if I can flip this camera around. This is always kind of the funky part. And we're going to get you guys all adjusted so that you can see down under my needle. Hang tight. This always just takes half a second. And then we'll make sure the lighting's right and everything's in focus. And I will get started with our demo. Now you can see I don't have my free motion foot on yet, so I'm going to change that out as well. Today we are talking about sewing machine tension, and I'm going to demonstrate for you guys what it looks like when your tension is too tight, when it's too loose, and when it's just right, and give you guys a little bit of an overview of when and how you should check your tension for free motion quilting. Oop. I don't have the bar on the right side of, there we go. So this is a free motion foot. If you are unfamiliar, this is a basic hopping foot. I'm pretty sure, let's see, I actually got mine at a local sewing supply store. You can also get them online. They're very affordable. So if you're new to free motion quilting, this is the foot that you will start with. I'm getting my machine threaded here. And I'm pretty sure you can even get them like on Amazon Prime. So if you're wanting to dabble into free motion quilting, but haven't done that yet, it's a very low barrier to entry with this foot. And this thread is not wanting to go through the needle, y'all. Let's try trimming it and see if that helps. And then I'm going to pause and open up this video on my computer so I can see any of y'all's comments, by the way. Because sometimes they don't show up on my phone. All right, there's that. Let me pull this up. Make sure that you're answering that question of the week so you can be entered to win our lovely little prize of a scrap bundle of Joy fabric from Tamara Kate. Almost got this up, guys. Y'all can't see my whole spread here, but I've got like a bunch of things all lined up. Let's see. Hey, Nicole. That's so interesting, Nicole, that for your machine, it doesn't want the feed dogs up, but my machine, I always leave my feed dogs up. Go figure. Let me fish out my foot pedal here and we will get started. Okay, so I have my free motion foot. I've threaded. This is a practice sandwich. If you're new to free motion quilting, basically what that means is you've got a piece of fabric and some batting and another piece of fabric and you've made a quilt sandwich. You put them together, and this is, you can see I've already done a little bit of free motion quilt, actually quite a bit of free motion quilting on this, and I just used this to check my tension, to try out stitches. Nicole, that's so interesting since we both have Singers. Proof that machines can have quirks. What can I say? That's why I asked this question this week, because I figured there had to be some good ones out there. So a practice watch is what you want to use to test your tension. If you are on a long arm, I will leave extra batting off to the side of my quilt top and put a scrap of fabric out to the side to create kind of a practice sandwich even on the frame. But this way you're not testing your tension on your machine, because just in case you have to fool around for a little bit, or on your quilt I mean, because you don't want all those extra holes on your quilt, and you don't want to have to unpick on your quilt constantly. The beauty of working on a practice sandwich is if it like looks ridiculous or looks stupid or the tension's such a mess, then it's okay. You just leave it and move on. That's what practice sandwiches are for. So over on the side of my machine, I'm gonna open up my tension settings. I have a computerized machine, so I push buttons to do that. If you have a manual tension adjust, it will be like right up here, just out of where the camera is. There's sometimes a little knob up there that has numbers on it, and you spin it, which funny story. I worked on a machine with a manual adjust when I was at QuiltCon. It was not my machine, I was borrowing it. And it took me forever to remember, oh yeah, I can adjust tension up there, because I kept looking for like a computerized setting, right? I'm gonna fool with our light just a little bit. So one of those two places you will find your tension adjustment. I have taken my tension down to 0, so I can show you guys what too loose of a tension looks like. Now notice I had just adjusted. Hey, Dr. Mario, I will see you for an adjustment in an hour. I'm actually really excited because my back hurts really bad. Anyway, notice as I adjusted my tension, my presser foot was up. Now I'm going to lower it down, and then I actually raise mine back up to get my thread through. That's called pulling your bobbin thread to the top if you're new to this. So now I have 2 threads up here. So my bobbin thread isn't underneath getting all tangled. So remember, I have no tension on my machine right now. I always do curves and jags and loops. And then y'all can see underneath, because there's not enough tension on this top thread. Here, I'm going to go ahead and break thread because I really want you guys to see what's going on. Kathleen, I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so on the top, the stitches look basically fine, right? Even get a little bit more light down in there for you guys. But when I flip it over, I have all kinds of nasty stuff happening, right? Now, the reason for this, these little eyelashes are actually your top thread showing through to the bottom. And when we are on our sewing machines, the way it works is the top thread comes down and the bottom thread comes up. And when the bobbin race, that's the piece that kind of does this number, right? When it goes, it twists those 2 stitches together, those 2 threads. And so this little knot, the twist, you want that to land in your batting. And what's happening here is we're actually seeing the twist, right? The twist is this part where you can see the loop. And that is supposed to be up in our batting. So the top tension is too loose. Now, my presser foot is up. Once again, I'm going to go over and I'm going to tighten my tension way down. And we're going to see what happens this time. Now, spoiler, it's quite possible that I will break thread. And this won't even want to stitch with the tension like this. So we'll see how it goes. I've heard it make a funky little sound already. Oh, see, there it goes. Broke thread. But let me show you what was happening before the thread broke. You can see it just a little bit. Can you see right here? There's little eyelashes once again. You can see it a little bit at this point as well. Now, this is trickier to see than those big ugly eyelashes we had on the back before. There's some over puckering on the back. You can see as I hold this at an angle because this thread is pulled too tight. And here on the top, we've got some little eyelashes. And this is because there's too much tension on our top thread and our bobbin thread is showing through to the top. So when there's too little tension on the top thread, we get eyelashes on the back. And these are very pronounced, ugly eyelashes, right? This is what we typically think of as our tension being off, is we think of, we flip it over and have that moment of horror, right? And then with too much tension on the top, we get some eyelashes, but we also just get an over puckering on the back where we can see that that thread is strained. And in my case, I actually broke the thread because there was too much tension to keep sewing. Nicole says, on mine I have auto in the middle and then it goes negative, +1 or -1. What does that mean in terms of tightness? So when you're going, it's just like a number scale, Nicole. So if you look at a number line, like in, elementary or middle school, that, hey Lori, thanks for tuning in, that to the left, those negative numbers is going to be your looser tension, and to the right, the plus numbers is going to be a tighter tension. And whatever adjustment you're doing, either on your computerized panel or on the little knob, if you have a manual adjust on your machine, you're adjusting the top thread tension. I don't fool with my bobbin tension. That gets set when my lovely friend Andy does my sewing machine maintenance for me, when she adjusts everything under there, and I don't touch it. I only fool with the bobbin thread. And that's important because just like, in a science experiment, you don't want to have too many variables. When you're adjusting the tension on your machine, you don't want to be adjusting both the top and the bottom because that's too many variables, okay? So think of the middle as 0, Nicole, and then to your left, those negative numbers as looser, and to the right, the positive numbers is tighter. Okay, so that, yes, exactly. So plus you're adding tension, or you're releasing tension in the negative case. So who knew? Elementary math coming into play here. Okay, I have reset my tension to essentially the same as Nicole's 0. On my machine it's 10, it's the halfway point. And we're gonna start from here to adjust to find out what perfect tension looks like. Oh, and look, my presser foot wasn't on all the way. Let's snug that down a little bit more, guys. I was just getting too excited, quilting too much, right? I'm gonna pull my thread to the top once again, lower my presser foot and the needle. Let's begin stitching. Now, as I already mentioned, I do loops and jags whenever I'm checking tension, because along these curves and at these points is where you're most likely to end up with eyelashing, right? So let's flip this over and see how it looks. So this looks okay. I'm not seeing any eyelashing. I'm also not seeing a whole lot of stitch definition. It just kind of looks like the bottom thread is just barely being tugged on by the top thread. So I'm actually going to raise my presser foot and I'm going to tighten this a couple of notches and see if we can get a little more stitch definition. Now, here's something very important. If I have to choose between stitch definition, like lack of stitch, how do I explain this? Sometimes when my machine is being funky, here's one of those machine quirks we were talking about, I can either have eyelashing or I can have undefined stitches where there's not, the knot is happening inside the batting, but it's not happening centrally enough to create nice defined stitches on my underside. I would rather have less defined stitches on the underside but not have eyelashing anywhere and not have thread breaking problems, right? Than to lose my mind trying to figure out how to get that stitch definition and it's just not happening. Okay, so there comes a point at which it may not be perfect every single time. Show yourself some grace. It will get better as you get used to adjusting it. But sometimes machines are just weird, right? So right now we're kind of at that point of like, it's okay, right? Yeah, so less defined meaning that you can kind of see the thread floating on the back. It's not floating so hard, Nicole, or so badly, Nicole, that you can see the top thread. So sometimes, you know, you can see that top thread. We had a little bit of that up here, where right here where it's floating, that you can't actually see, like you can see the top thread still, and you can feel it. You can feel that bump. I don't ever want that. But down here, sorry guys, bumped the camera. Down here, I can't feel the top thread, but it's still just not as defined as I would like it to be. So I've tightened my tension just a little bit, and let's see if I can get this just a little bit more defined. My stitch length is a little all over the place at the moment, guys, but that's okay. We're just doing sample stuff. So here, that's much better. You can kind of see the definition of those stitches. Let me check the top. This is actually looking really nice, guys, even though my stitches are a little long, because I'm just jamming along to show you guys. So you can see the definition of the stitches here on the top. You see that? And you can see it on the back as well. Oh, Kathleen, I'm so sorry. It is recording and it will be up later. It will be posted at the top of my page. I will pin it to the top. And I'll talk about this more in a minute, but if you're on my newsletter list, Kathleen, then this will come straight to your inbox later this evening as well. So like I said, you can see the stitch definition here, and you can see it here. See those nice bumps? So this is really lovely tension. This is my ideal. So again, if your tension is too loose, you can see the top thread showing through on the back. If your tension is too tight, you can see the bottom thread showing through on the top. And when your tension is just right, this is like Goldilocks, right? Then you've got lovely defined stitches on your top and your bottom, and nobody's showing through to the wrong side. Let me go ahead and, actually I don't even need to break thread. I'm gonna go ahead and flip this camera around, guys, even though it'll be a little bit shaky. Hang on. And I'm gonna hold this so that I can talk to you guys for just one more minute. That concludes our demo for today. I always try to keep these Wednesday demos on the shorter side because they are going out in email later. But this will be available on my page. This will also be available on my blog. You will see there's a link in the caption of this video, there's the question of the week. Make sure you answer that to be entered to win our lovely little bundle of fabric for this week. Also click that link to go over to my blog and you can download this little cheat sheet, right? So this talks about when to check your tension, which you should check your tension when you're starting a new quilt. You should check your tension anytime you've turned your machine off and on again. You should check your tension anytime you are changing your bobbin. I know that that can be a pain. It can mean breaking thread in the middle of a project, but it's worth it to not have to spend a ton of time unpicking your quilting, right? It also talks you through the 3 steps of how to check your tension. And then there's some pictures, which are not showing up super great on camera, of what your tension looks like when it's too loose, too tight, and when it's perfect. So this little cheat sheet that's just easy to print out and keep next to your computer is available on my blog. You just drop your email in and it'll go straight to your inbox. This video, like I said, will be available there as well. Then I also wanted to let you guys know that this weekend I am hosting Intro to Free Motion Quilting. It's my free online class that gets you started. This is just the beginning. We'll talk through fully setting up your machine, 4 foundational motifs, as well as an introduction to making quilting plans. So if you're not already registered for this weekend's free class, and if you haven't taken it before, that link is available in the caption as well, and you can find it on my blog. So it's available lots of places, and I hope that I will see you this weekend. I hope that this is helpful. Don't hesitate to continue asking questions in the comments. I will keep checking in, and I hope that this will be a game changer for you guys in your quilting. Having good tension and knowing how to achieve good tension when things are going wrong is so valuable and can be such a relief, because sometimes this is such a hard topic, right? Now, if you're adjusting your tension, and remember you always want to raise your presser foot when you're adjusting, and it's just not coming out right, try a few simple things, right? Turn your machine off, turn it back on, rethread your machine, rethread your bobbin, clean out the bobbin casing, change the needle. All of those basic things still apply, even when with something like tension. So if just the basic adjusting is not working, kind of go back to square one and troubleshoot those basic setup steps, and see how that works. Often that will solve your problem. Sometimes there can be something else going on that just causes a little glitch with the tension process, right? So I hope this is a wonderful help for you guys. I'm so excited that you joined me today. Be sure to answer that question of the week down in the comments for your best chance to win this week's giveaway. Bye, y'all.